Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Waiting room in here.
we have some interesting people that are visiting today. That's wonderful.
Hi, Denise.
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Theresa's doing great. She put this whole thing together.
Oh, I had help. I had help. We'll get to that.
Hey, Theresa.
Who's that?
It's Don, Nathan.
Oh, hi, Don. How are you?
It's your Scotland audience.
Oh,
We're truly international.
Yes.
yay.
The global reach of Nathan.
The magic of Zoom. Ron MacArthur is here. Yay.
Hi, Elinor.
Ron is was born in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Hi, Paula.
Fan of William Carlos Williams.
I don't know how to do that.
There's Helen right here.
Oh, Paul is here. Yay.
Helen.
From New Orleans.
Yeah. Paula, you're probably the farthest except the person who's in Scotland.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Susan Udovan.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even 2 o'clock yet.
Yeah, really.
And there are more people over here.
Do we have all the readers?
1, 2, no. We don't.
Who are we missing? I think we've let everybody in.
I don't see Tina.
I'm here.
I just let her in.
Okay.
Carole.
Yeah, I saw Carole a minute ago.
Hmm?
Carol's here.
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we'll wait a few more minutes. This is an active waiting room.
Mhm.
I'm very impressed.
And it's still not 2 o'clock.
Still not there. Hey, Maggie.
Got
Hey,
1
Brad.
minute.
Hello. How are you guys? Hello, hello.
Hey, Tina.
Hey.
How are you?
Great, thanks. Oh,
Hey,
look at
Jennifer.
everybody.
Hey, Maggie.
Will we all fit on the page?
No,
Probably not on one page. We'll
No,
we
have-
don't want to fit on the page.
We're on just page 3.
Yay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's.
Cool, cool.
So there's no turning back now.
Hi, Theresa.
Can't turn the page.
Who's that?
Sue Austin.
Oh my gosh.
Hi.
How are you, Sue?
Okay, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for coming.
And there are all sorts of people who aren't showing their photos, but I know who you are.
Hi, Jessica.
We know you're there. David Williams is there. Yay.
Hi, Al. I heard you, and Benny and Steve. I can't believe that you're all on this. I'm like very touched.
Yeah,
Hi,
all in
Jessica.
one place. It's amazing.
Hello, hello.
And Denise and Paul, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Oh, we got a lot of the Koninck on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're up to 61.
Jennifer.
Yeah,
Wow. This is impressive.
Oh,
this is great.
hi, Dan. I see my brother
Bob.
Dan
Hi.
there.
Oh, my goodness.
Multitasking.
From Michigan.
Sorry.
Sent out
Brother,
20,000 emails.
Emily Zacharias. Hi, Emily.
Who's saying that?
Teresa.
Theresa, I'm looking for you, Theresa.
If I talk, I should.
Maggie.
If I talk, I should have a green lining around my
Yeah,
head.
sure.
There
Come
you
on,
are,
let's go
Teresa.
downstairs and get
Yes,
on the
but you
big
know,
one.
there's 3 pages, 3
Yes.
Amazing.
screens, but yes, I
You know-
see. How are you? Glad to be here.
Folks, one thing, and I often forget about this because when I'm teaching, I'm always on the gallery view, but you can use the speaker view on Zoom, and that will just, the person who's speaking is big, and then everybody else has the small boxes, but however you want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Susanna.
Hey.
Hey,
Okay, we're
Jennifer.
up to 4 pages.
Oh,
Hi.
wow.
Huge turnout.
Hi, Marcia and
Hi,
Elinor.
Marcia. Hi, Elinor. It's Dan
Who's
and
that?
Ona.
Or
Hi, Dan and
Hi.
Susanna, Robin.
Hi, Tina.
Robin just had a birthday.
I think Lynn's been out in that waiting room.
Dan and Ona are
She,
here.
it says she's joining,
Okay.
so we're almost at 70 people.
Wow, this is amazing.
Hi, Hillary. I see Hillary there.
so many people here.
Hi, Elinor.
Lynn must be having trouble.
Yeah, she must be having trouble getting in.
Hi, Elinor.
Who's that?
David Williams.
Oh, hey, David. Oh, you're in here saying hi to you. Glad to see you.
Hi, Elinor. It's Karen.
Yay, Karen. Thank you.
Hey, Robin.
Great.
Hey there.
How are you?
Ollie's here. Yay, Ollie.
Hi.
This is so much fun. This is the bonus of Zoom. All these people that in one place.
Yeah, we couldn't fit everyone in the skate house.
That's right. I mean, thank goodness for Zoom. I don't think we would have fit in the skate house.
That's right.
Well, we have a lot of long distance people also. The nice thing about Zoom is that people can, I mean, there are people on from Massachusetts, there are people on from all over the place, from Arizona or California.
Yep.
Montreal. None of them would be here otherwise.
Your phone.
There are some advantages to this.
Yes. Zoom has expanded poetry's reach.
Hi, Elinor. I'm here from the Czech Republic. I'm sorry I don't have a camera.
Okay. Which is farther, Scotland or the Czech Republic? I think the Czech Republic wins. That's fabulous.
Hi. Good to be in this
Lucy,
company.
That's wonderful, Lucy. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Great to be in this company.
I'm sorry?
Great to be in this company.
Okay, great to have you. Lucy's an incredible scientist.
I can't do it.
Jennifer.
Almost 80 people on this.
I was gonna say we're done, but 3 people just came into the room.
I can't sit by while you do to do all of us.
Okay.
Would you like us to use?
I think Lynn's having trouble joining.
Yeah. Is there any way to text Lynn and tell her to try exiting and coming in again?
She's tried
There is
10 times.
deep damage that has been done.
Oh, we've got
You
another.
won't talk about it. You won't. The second I bring up the double quarter pounders.
They just keep coming.
Up to 80.
Hi, Brooke.
We're up to 83. I'm over 80.
Over 80.
Wow. Woohoo.
Ignoring everything that was wrong with Larry, the detachment, the disassociation.
Like Biden, over 80 million.
Someone has a radio going.
Has added up to just the equal weight.
Yeah, in a minute, I'm going to ask
Teresa's
everybody.
gonna mute everybody, right?
Yeah, in a minute, we're going to, well, I'll ask you to mute yourselves.
I need to work on me. I need it.
I think it's Mary Ann
Have
Sullivan.
Christmas with just
Hey, Pete, thank you for coming.
pleasure.
Okay, 4 people just came in. I'm sorry. We're just going to keep letting them in.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of room at the end.
Might as well go.
Admit all. You can do it all at once. Boy, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Or just wait maybe another minute or 2 to make sure we
Want us
clear.
to mute ourselves?
No.
Yeah, in a few moments. Yeah, in another minute. or
It's
so.
almost, yeah, because it's almost 10 after.
Virtual poetry
Yeah.
read.
So
Marcia.
I think the people that are in the waiting room are trying to join. So,
Yeah, so just
and they've been trying for, a couple of minutes. I don't know that I can message them. No. Oh, maybe I can.
Let me just say, oh, good. Okay, I know I can mute everyone if I need to, but hopefully I won't need to. Hi, Laura. Laura Freegood. See you.
Hey, Laura.
Okay. I'm going to email you the link.
Okay, so maybe we should get started and people will come in if they come in. All right, well, hi everyone. Oh, 5 people just entered the waiting room. Thank you so much for coming. It's a beautiful day out there. I know how important it is to get outside during this time. So I really grateful that you've chosen to come to this reading. It is indeed the last reading that Watershed will have for this season, for this year. It's been kind of a skimpy year for some very obvious reasons. We've only had 2 readings this year. We had started the program last year in the spring. We had 2 in-person readings, which really I thought were fantastic. We had them in the skate house that's around the duck pond in South Orange. It was really wonderful and charming, although, as people have pointed out, we would have never fit 92 people in the skate house. We decided, since there was room for about 50 people in the skate house, that it would be perfect for a poetry reading. I mean, you never get more than 50 people at a poetry reading, right?
Right.
So that seemed perfect. But anyway, we all know what happened in the spring, so we were derailed for a minute. But we came back in October using Zoom. Thank God for Zoom. So this is our last reading, and I'm so happy that we are joined today by the Lady Mechanics of Verona. And that is Verona, of course, not Verona, Italy, but Verona, New Jersey.
Hear Helen laughing during the introduction.
There is certainly inspiration that also comes from Verona, New
Muted,
Jersey.
right? So you mute.
Teresa?
Yes.
Teresa, because we have such a wonderful group, I think it's best if you as the host mute all at once, and then the readers can just unmute.
I thought we were all muted. Okay. I shall do that. I shall mute all.
Yep.
Can everybody hear me now? Okay. I don't have to do all that over again, do I? I am thrilled to be hosting the Lady Mechanics of Verona. We call ourselves the Lady Mechanics of Verona because
Theresa, you muted yourself.
okay, how's that? Yes? So we've been meeting for the past 6-7 years at the home of Carole Stone in Verona, which is why we call ourselves that. We're an editorial group that meets about every other week. We work really hard. These women are super productive. I am constantly trying to keep up with them when we have our meetings. So I'm just thrilled that the Lady Mechanics will have the last spot for the season today. I am quite sure when I think about it, I probably wouldn't still be writing, and certainly not writing as much as I do without these women to work with. They're tough editors, but they also have big hearts. So I'm really grateful for them. Let's see. There's a couple of people that I want to thank before we get started. First off, Sandy Martini. I don't know if she's in the house today, but Sandy Martini was the former Director of Cultural Affairs when we first started this program last year. She was the one who made it happen, really. It's that simple. We were looking for programming to do while the Baird Center in South Orange was under construction, reconstruction. And, you know, I said, what about a spoken word series? And she was like, yeah, do it. So we did, and it was fast. The current Director of Cultural Affairs for South Orange is Peter Travers, and he too has been enormously helpful in this whole endeavor. He's the one who gets us listed on the town website. He makes sure every South Orange resident knows about the Watershed readings. He's just enormously helpful in the whole process. And I guess I want to say a general thank you to the entire administration of the South Orange Village, the Board of Trustees, you know, everyone who helps make this possible, because we do get support from the village itself. That's how we run this. I would like to give a special thank you to the person who's been helping me a lot for this past year, who is Ann Dwyer. She's up there. Why don't you wave, Ann? She's been a terrific program assistant for this past year. She helps get the word out. She helps get us listings and various poetry event listings and so forth. And she's also helping me plan out future readings. So her work is invaluable for the series. So big thanks to Anne. I would get in trouble if I didn't mention my husband, Greg, who is acting as the sort of, you know, gatekeeper there at the waiting room. And we did get a security tickler from Zoom, because we had, you know, I guess gotten a little aggressive about posting on social media. So hopefully there won't be any surprise intruders, but he is watching the door. And of course, Greg is in charge of that. He's helpful in lots of other ways too. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. A couple of things I want to mention. We have 7 readers today. The Lady Mechanics are 7 women poets. So, and we're going to do the intros sort of in a circular fashion. So I will introduce the first reader, and then we'll sort of go in a circle. And I'll be the last one to go. We're going to go in reverse alphabetical order, just to keep things interesting. And after we're finished, I think that'll take about an hour. When we're finished, you know, we're going to try to leave maybe 15 minutes for anyone who wants to pop up and maybe share one poem, you know, not too long. We probably have room for maybe 7 or 8 readers to do that. So if you'd like to, at the end, share one poem, maybe you can put your name in the chat, and we will, you know, sort of have a list there that we'll go to after the reading. How's that? Yeah? And I think one other thing that I'd like to say is, one other thing I wanted to say is, I think that maybe using the chat while people are reading, while the other readers are reading their work, maybe hold off on that, because sometimes it's a little distracting for the next reader. If you're still sort of, you know, saying nice things and clapping for the last reader, that can be kind of distracting. So let's just maybe wait till the end, that when the features have finished reading, if you want to post some things in the chat. Okay, I think we're all set to start.
Theresa, a quick question.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to get in and it's saying that we're at capacity.
I think 100 is the capacity.
Is it?
I guess I never thought we'd get any further than that. My goodness.
We're at it. Okay. That's unfortunate.
Sorry, yeah, because Lynn
She's been trying to join and she finally got in.
I don't know. If any of the other hosts, Greg, if any of the other hosts know
how to
allow more people in, it probably involves upgrading. Can we upgrade for a month? I don't mind.
We'll see if we can do that.
Okay.
I'll get off if that helps.
Say it again?
I'll get off if that helps.
No. No, we don't want anyone to get off. All right, so I'm going to start by introducing Carole Stone. She's going to be our first reader. Carole is, no question, our spiritual, I guess, leader of the group. Besides meeting at her home in Verona around her dining table, she is our senior member. And she may be senior in age, but I would emphasize that Carole, usually the rest of us are scrambling to keep up with Carole. I think that's fair to say, right? She is amazingly productive. I think she has 3 or 4 different reading groups she attends every month just to kind of keep her going because she writes so frequently and so well. She's been published widely. She is a retired professor emerita at Montclair State University. I think they have at least one bronze statue of her over there because she taught there for so many years. I value Carole not only because she feeds us really good snacks and lots of coffee when we meet there every other week, but also Carole, I would say, is the master of the ending of a poem. She will not let you get away with a weak ending. So being someone who has problems with endings at times, I'm really grateful to have Carole there for all sorts of reasons. So please welcome Carole Stone. Is Carole there?
Carole, you have to unmute. Carole, you're muted.
She has to unmute.
Carole, can you unmute? I'm asking her to do that.
Hmm?
Oh.
Yeah.
There she goes.
How's that?
Good.
Okay, so I was thanking you, Theresa, very much for that wonderful introduction. I thought I would read a poem from a few of my books and then read some new ones. This is Hurt the Shadow, and all of the poems in this book are spoken in the voice of Josephine Hopper, the wife of Edward Hopper, and in my poem, she really gets back at him. This is Nighthawks, 1942. Each title is one of his paintings. And since that's just a very, I think perhaps his most famous painting, just close your eyes and visualize the diner. Nighthawks. The cafe's bright, too bright, henna-haired, perched on a counter stool beside a man in his wide-brimmed hat and dark blue suit. I might as well be alone. The red tip of his cigarette burns to ash. I fiddle with the match cover. The white-capped counterman gazes at my neckline. Empty white mugs on the counter wait to be refilled, like my life. I want my fellow Nighthawk to take my hand so near to his. I want to stroll with him on the empty town streets, the night warm as breakfast oatmeal. Against the black wall, 2 coffee urns, their vents like eyes watch. And this is a poem from late, and I do write a lot about the past in my growing up. Knowledge. What is left to remember? Mrs. Wilcox stamping the dates in blue on the card in its tiny envelope, glued in the 2 books you could take out for a week. Who is left to remember, lingering in the dark stacks until closing time, touching the books as if they were my parents, who could fill me with knowledge? Langston Hughes and his dream, Millay, with whom I rode all night on the ferry, Whitman, whose free verse I embraced. I am left to remember me of the after-school library hours, who went home to a house without love, the girl who raised herself page by page. This is the most autobiographical of my books, American Rhapsody. It takes place during the Prohibition, and I had a lot of fun writing this sestina. Full house, and the epigraph is from Elizabeth Bishop, one of my favorite poets. I consider her my mentor, actually. Another Inscrutable House. Friday nights, I play poker, penny ante games. I deal the cards, hoping for a full house. With only a pair of tens, I am lost. Yet a failed hand is hardly trouble. There is more serious trouble than failing at poker. Elizabeth Bishop lost her parents, her lover Lotus games, and Brazilian house. Too many bad cards. But this isn't just about cards. As a girl, I too found trouble. To escape from my aunt's and uncle's house, I danced naked on Under the Boardwalk game, my 11-year-old version of strip poker, trying to forget what I had lost. It's a childhood of being lost, after the king and queen become lifeless cards, like the small girl in Forbidden Games, parents killed by a German plane. Such trouble is godless poker. Now the girl lived in a stranger's house, the way I grew up in someone else's house. She secretly buried lost mice that died. A movie can be like real-life poker. After first grief, you must master the cards. But that movie is about old trouble, and I am tired of forbidden games. Would rather play happy games. Who cares if you don't hold a full house? Is this really trouble? Though in deal after deal I lost, there's more to worry about than cards. So every Friday, I leave ruthless life for poker, no longer lost. If life is like a game of cards, let the trouble be Friday night poker at someone's house. And now I'd like to read a couple of new poems. Please forgive me for this first dismal one, chalk it up to COVID. A woman. I am tired of being a woman, sick of my hair, no longer blonde, tired of the face I see in the mirror. I've had all I can take of the loneliness that hangs over me like a dead mouth. The blind and the deaf and the frightened no longer dream. I'm fed up with the moon over the trees. I can't stand the stars. I want to fall in love with this world as if it were a first amour. Forgive those who left without saying goodbye. I too will become shadow and feel the icy wool of the earth. I'll leave behind my human light, fall asleep like a new mother who stayed up all night walking her baby. I remember summers at the beach, the clouds dipping low over the ocean, where the waves made me feel like staying alive until I became a woman who, on a day ordinary as breathing, took her coffee in the morning. I don't want to go on as a lily on a hillside. So, to make up for that dismal poem, I will read This Happiness. This happiness. To be in the kitchen, darkness falling at 4:46, backyard hill, fading into the landscape, deer no longer climbing down, these apparitions of nature haunting the suburbs. On WQXR, Haydn, and me dancing little steps, thinking, oh, lucky, as I count my years on my fingers. My hair's gray. When I look in the mirror, I see blonde. I haven't left my house for days, waiting for the sun like a refilled prescription. Who said old age ain't for sissies? My brother Jerry, an aficionado of 40s movies, says it was Betty Davis. And yet, this happiness in my kitchen, slicing an acorn squash, squeezing lemon on the flounder, just me, myself, and I. And I'll read two more poems that were just published in Verse Virtual, which if you go online, it's a wonderful online journal. Flower. In the movie palace, built as if Maharajas rode their elephants through the fake gold doors, ushers dressed in turbans bowed. Saturday afternoons, I sat in the last row, my heart a shovel, digging for love. On the screen, Greta Garbo and Melvin Douglas in Ninotchka. I became a mysterious flower with delicate petals, a seductive spy reborn on the Champs-Élysées. In a black beret, my voice drunk with absinthe, tenderness lingering like a Paris evening. When I close my eyes, I remember the girl, lonely as a bridge, leading nowhere. For a few hours, someone else in the darkened movie house. And the last poem is an ode, which has become my favorite form in the whole world. I think I have about 20 of them now, and I figure it's time for another book. Anyhow, Ode to Vanilla. Vanilla comes from orchids that bloom beside Mexican graves. The Aztecs named it Tlachtitl, little flower. It's the second most expensive spice after saffron. I don't care. I brought back 10 pods from Mexico. Their fragrance anoints me with sweetness. I peel them open, sniff them, get a little high. They take away my pain, I who have dreamed of flight. I drink from bottles of extract, drown my throat with vanilla that consoles me when I cry. It frees me from the past. Vanilla has no expiration date. Thank you. So I will now introduce Helen Mazarakis, who is just a wonderful critic. She always gets right to the heart of the poem, and I appreciate her comments so much. And the other thing I should say about her poetry that I admire is her use of metaphor. I mean, she just stretches a metaphor throughout a whole poem in a way that I could never hope to achieve. And I think you will hear that when she reads her poetry. So, the wonderful critic and poet, Helen Mazarakis.
Well, thank you, Carole. And can I just say that it is just such a privilege to be able to work with these amazing poets on a regular basis. And I just appreciate you all so much. And thanks, Theresa, for organizing this. And following Carole is hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to start with the moon. This is called Sweet Potatoes. An unremarkable errand to buy some milk. I slow, as usual, to catch my familiar glimpse of the sparkly lights of the city through the trees in the gap between the houses. But then I stop altogether, drawn by a flash of otherworldly light, appearing and disappearing, a giant red orb, the moon, the autumn moon, harvest colored like russet potatoes, sweet potatoes, round, fleshy, brilliant in its reflection of the autumn sun that set at a new October angle, leaving enough light to burnish my moon, my end of day, my reason to stop. I want to touch, to hold it, to roll it in my hands, and then with a puff of air, blow it back into the sky to lighten the burdens of someone else on an unremarkable errand. So in the middle of the pandemic, my husband and I came up with a crazy idea to move and packed up 24 years of living and moved to a new house. And this came out of that. It's called When My Children Grew Up and We Moved. We removed the door jamb, the place on the stair landing where we measured the children's heights year by year. The handyman didn't blink when I asked. He knew. He took it off, replaced it with a new board, repainted so you'd never know, and brought me the old door jamb triumphant. I'm not sure I know what to do with it now that I have it. I don't anticipate the need to measure the adults who now pass through, the same humans that once stood trying to stretch their little scalps higher to surpass their previous heights. Now they reach for goals by themselves. I can't hold a ruler flat on their heads, mark with a pencil, add the date and initials. So in the pandemic, I think we all have a pandemic poem. I think probably all 7 of us have one today. This one's mine. It's called Apart from the Flock. It snowed in May, but nobody paid much attention because so many things are off. And while it snowed, I watched the 2 geese standing near the pond where they've been for the past few days. Just the 2 of them, no flock. I'm worried they were left behind, that the others gathered and took off, formed their V, forgetting these 2 who were lingering and not paying attention. One year, my parents left one of my sisters behind at church on Easter Sunday. We took all the family Easter photos, lined up by age, hand on the shoulder of the next younger, and no one thought to mention she wasn't there. They always come back for us, she told the neighbor who dropped her off, and it became an amusing family anecdote because in my family, we always made an effort to smooth things over, fake it a bit until equilibrium is reestablished. These 2 geese are acting like nothing is wrong, just strutting around, honking. As I fell asleep last night, I heard a ruckus and I thought the others had returned for them, but no, it was just the 2 of them, glossing it over, pretending to be a flock, stepping gingerly through the May snow. What is called the lemon law. When I was made, it turns out I was a bit of a lemon. Things break and fall apart long before the warranty is up. And while my mind should be stellar, it runs into similar glitches. The make and model are no longer in stock, I'm told, so I make do finding spare parts that can be adjusted and retrofitted into this old model. They made a whole law for lemons, the lemon law, requiring the manufacturer to find repairs. When will you fix me, O Creator? Or do you believe, as I do, that lemons are the scent that means clean and fresh, the source of flavoring on a plate of fish, the smallest squeeze transforming my glass of water into something of joy? One more. This is called What Brings Me. Listen, my friend, I found a small stone on a beach once many years ago and kept it in my change purse. And from time to time, I picked it out of the pennies and dimes and rubbed it between my thumb and fingers, smoothing its coat. But then time went on and I forgot it as work called. Dinners needed to be prepared, children urged on, and friends given attention, until one day the time came to pack up all my belongings. And when I opened a locked drawer, I found the small stone, took it between my thumb and fingers, and became still, hearing every sound I had ever heard, then none, then just one voice, which I'm pretty sure was God. I love looking at the faces and seeing the my other lady mechanics out there. Okay, now I get to introduce Elinor Mattern. Elinor is so many things. She is a teacher, a mentor, a visual artist, as well as a poet, a collector of hearts. But most of all, Elinor is just a genuinely wonderful person. And I'm just really grateful to have her in my life. And you're lucky to be able to hear her beautiful poetry right now. Go, Elinor.
And I'm lucky to have Helen say all those nice things about me. Thank you, Helen. Thank you to Theresa for today. And it is my outrageously good fortune to be a part of this group. And thank you to all of the beautiful faces on our Hollywood squares of poetry today. I can't believe we have 100. And I already got a few messages from people who had to leave because the door was closed. The inn was full. I can't believe 100 people. Wow. Okay.
We have, by the way, we have tried to upgrade. I don't know if it's gone through just to get more people. So.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to start with a small poem. It's about a job in the medical field that probably most of us never thought about. And I thought I'd read it today, thinking about medical personnel today who are working so very, very hard under such difficult conditions. As needed. My friend, the cardiac nurse, holds people's hearts in her hands in the operating room. Not every day, just as needed. The doctors say she's very good at it, she tells me in her South African lilt, is called on when surgery requires someone who can put her hands inside your chest and hold your heart without moving for hours. I didn't know human beings were doing that. Isn't that amazing? Okay, my next poem is called, tongue-in-cheek, Why Couldn't I Have Been an Opera Singer? The poem I'm working on is going to be the best poem I've ever written, I think, I hope, if I can pack into it everything I know about composing, revising, and editing. But of course, the problem with trying to remember all that stuff and trying to do it all at the same time, like the need to weave vivid images, the artichokes and the cement blocks, into the narrative, while juggling the music with the form, making sure the language is concrete, tucking the gravel and the garden soil in there, and cutting out abstractions like love or pain. And don't tell with exposition, but show with detail how Amsterdam was that night in the snow, making sure to create fresh metaphors, like having the sun do something the sun would never do, like walking up the stairs. And to be honest in the confession, eliminating self-pity and words for emotions, yet being emotionally authentic, while also staying true to the narrative when telling about the abortion, for example, and acknowledging political realities without being heavy-handed or pedantic, and revising out those adjectives, cliches, the passive voice, the gerunds, but not forgetting that you can break a rule now and then, is like trying to drive a car with one foot on the brake, like the caterpillar who trips over her own feet. And the problem with reading that poem is then you'll see that I don't do all those things in my poems, and I break a lot of the rules. My next poem is Morning Prayer. My deepest longing is to deepen and to let go of all longing, save the longing of the waves. My deepest longing is to know how to go deeper, how not to long for anything more. My deepest longing is to let go of all except the all everything. My deepest longing is to stop longing. My deepest longing is to know nothing, to detach from the world, from my stuff, to grow more human, to equal the birds. My deepest longing is to breathe in and out particles of God. My deepest longing is to know the world and to release the world from my tight little fist. No past, no future. My deepest longing is to ask no more questions. My deepest longing is to carry love, a raft, wherever I go. And I thought it would be nice to end on the fun note of day one of the motorcycle safety course. It's so funny though not to be able to hear any sounds, but fortunately I see a few smiles, so that helps. Day one of the motorcycle safety course. We're in the Mercer County College parking lot. Lined up, waiting for us, there are not motorcycles, but bicycles for us to ride. It's chilly, it's drizzling. I'm tired and a little cranky. A 2-hour drive, and I had to be here at 7 a.m. I am so not a morning person, but I am also psyched. It's not the wind and the hair thing that people imagine. The helmet is bulky and annoying, does weird things to sound, and your hair is not free to flow. But it is the body skimming swiftly through air, surrounded by only air, not in a box, outside, outside. The bicycles are here for our dry run, to demonstrate that we have the basic skill of balancing before we get on a bike with an engine. I passed the test. But then I mentioned to Ron, our instructor, that I wonder whether my age might be an issue. I'm 62. Around my age, he smiles and says, "Nah, you're young." Then tells about a student he had, Rose. She must have been in her 80s, he says. He was happy to give her a chance, but she didn't pass the balance test. Fell not once, but twice. He said he was sorry, and she said she understood. A few months later, Rose turned up at that parking lot again to say hi to Ron and to tell him he was right. She wasn't meant to ride a motorcycle, so she got her pilot's license instead. Thank you. And thank you very much. At the presumed applause, so presumptuous. Now I get to introduce to you the marvelous Marcia LeBeau. As you will hear, and you may already know, she is a bold and original poet. And lately, she has been working in her newly invented genre of marriage-ish poems, a suite of 4 of which just got published in the new Ohio Review. And her far-reaching vision led Marcia to create a workspace for writers in Orange, New Jersey, where she offers all kinds of events and support for writers. It's called The Write Space, and you should check it out. And now, listen to Marcia LeBeau, a fine and fearless voice.
Thank you, Elinor. That was such a nice introduction. I am actually here at the Write Space. It's a nice place to go to get away from the house. Okay, I'm gonna read 5 poems today. And thank you, Theresa, for this. This is just so wonderful to have this venue, this Zoom venue, to do this with the Lady Mechanics. And I think you actually went on mute when you were explaining why we call ourselves the Lady Mechanics. I don't know if that's true. But maybe Jessica can explain it when she gets up, because I think it's an interesting story. So let me begin. I'm going to begin with one of the pandemic poems, like Helen was talking about. I think we've all read pandemic poems, or we've all written them for sure. This one is called Pandemic Science. The infographic on my son's computer screen shows the layers of the ocean. The one touching sky, the sunlit zone, holds jellyfish and stingrays, like the ones we caught last week on the live cam at the Georgia Aquarium. Or was that yesterday? At some point, we lived in wave-jumping sunlit days. Now the governor has closed everything, even beaches. Honorable Sir, will we be allowed sand in our folds by July? We are sinking into twilight, the layer where swordfish and sperm whales, lantern and viperfish navigate through darker environs, along with ridiculous-looking ink-producing cuttlefish. Our president, a stain spreading across the planet as we hold our breath. Twilight, the time when the most car accidents occur, avoidable if drivers had simply clicked on their high beams, been cautious as if it were already pitch black. By midnight, the ocean holds no light, my son informs me, just Dumbo octopus, fangtooth, and anglerfish at these depths. Although they can't see, these creatures know things through vibration, movement. I have been filling my online cart with lingerie and sex toys, as if 2-star pasties shimmering beneath stretched netting could save us from the kind of darkness where you can't tell whether your eyes are open or shut. Thank you. I like seeing some hands. It's like jazz hands. Gen Z. It's 10 p.m. and I know where my children are. I've known where they are every single day of their entire lives. At some point, when they are in college or even before, I won't know where they are. I'll imagine them filling up a red plastic Solo cup from a keg and spilling a little as they look over at the girl who is calling their name, and I'll know that I'm definitely not their number one girl anymore. I wonder if someday someone else will make them meals, or will they be the kind of men who make their wives dinner? Maybe they won't end up with wives or partners. Maybe they won't even end up as men. I wonder if they will change their names, who they'll want to kiss. Never mind if they'll even go to college. My daydreams are outdated, my identity last century. I look at those sleeping souls and I have no idea. I have no idea. Thank you. This next one is called Ada Weedo, and it's about a mentee I had many, many years ago that turned into a friend, and this is an homage to her. Ada Weedo. When someone asks me to describe Tanisha, do I tell them the first time she echoed I love you back on the platform at 53rd and Lex? Or how she was the Jamaican goddess, Ada Weedo, frothing men up just by stepping onto the sidewalk? Or how I'd haul my ass 2 hours from Brooklyn to the Bronx to show her when she wouldn't answer and wouldn't answer? Her math teacher was not white, she was Jewish. Her son didn't go to daycare, it was life, L-Y-F-E. Her SAT prep book, thick as an old telephone directory, a Christmas present I thought she should be grateful for. The way her skin was always moist with cocoa butter, the smell forever lodged in her history. Her red vinyl belt cinched so tight, I thought she might explode. Her outgoing message played Jay-Z for so long, I was annoyed before I even spoke. It was a test. How much did you like her? How long were you willing to hold on? And now these are the a couple of the poems from the journal Noir that just got published. It looks like this. It's a beautiful, beautiful journal. And I'm honored to be in it. Prenup. I can't promise you I know how to sit across from a man as he lights his campfire heart without letting it warm me. And I won't pour water over it before it glows down to embers in the lambent hours of the morning. As shadow flames sashay across my face, I might throw in branches I've gathered from my forest. Make it blaze. Thank you. As I'm reading these poems, I'm always so aware of like what the lady mechanics have done to help help these poems just get them to a different level. So again, I thank you women so much and this group. And this is my last poem. It's called Lucky. The Lucky store a few towns over is going out of business. That doesn't seem so lucky to me. Every year, my husband and I hit their after Christmas sale. We try on jeans with zippers that tell us, lucky you, when the teeth unclench. I once got a sweater with lucky that stretched across my breasts. We pile clothes in dressing rooms facing each other, yay or nay outfits. With conjugal knowledge, we are ruthlessly honest. Whoever finishes first takes a seat and watches the other model, consider and reconsider. The other day, a woman I barely know told me how much she loves my husband. The way he always refers to our life experiences with we. We have decided. We went there. We bought that. She tells me how lucky I am. When my husband and I leave the store, we clutch shopping bags. We are satiated. Sometimes we hold hands if we have one free. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to take a sip of water and then I'm going to introduce Tina Kelley. Where is she? Oh, there she is, up in the right-hand corner of my screen, looking so beautiful. Now I can't see your face because there's a text message in front of it. I love Zoom. Okay. Tina Kelley's Rise Wildly came out in November from Carey Press. And here it is. It is a gorgeous book, inside and out. Buy it. You will not be disappointed. This is her third book. She also wrote it's her third poetry book, but she also co-authored Almost Home, Helping Kids Move from Homelessness to Hope, and shared in a staff Pulitzer Prize for covering 9/11 at the New York Times, where she worked as a reporter for 10 years. So she's a reporter and a poet, which is kind of an explosive combination, let's say. I met Tina Kelley in a very circuitous way. We shared the same babysitter for our children without knowing each other. So the babysitter came for my kids in the morning because they were younger, and hers in the afternoon after school. And the babysitter actually told me, oh, the other mom kids I babysit for, she's a poet too. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's cool. Who is this? And let me buy her book. So this is my first introduction to Tina, was The Gospel of Glory, her first book. And I thought, it is so amazing. I have to meet this woman. I have to meet this poet. And then it just happened that she was coming out with her second book, Precise, at that time. So I bought it. I gave it to the babysitter for her to sign, and she came over to my house, and that's how we met for the first time. And it's just such a great meeting. And then she's been so supportive of my work, which I feel so grateful for. And she's the one who introduced me to the Lady Mechanics. So I could go on and on about Tina, but I think her poetry speaks for her. So I welcome Tina Kelley.
Thank you so much, Marcia. I really appreciate that introduction, and I love your work. I love the Lady Mechanics in the way that they will actually sit down during a pandemic and read through and critique an entire manuscript. A lot of us will share a manuscript during one of our sessions, and it is, for anyone who writes, it is such a gift to be able to have all those brilliant minds telling you if your poems are in the right order and which ones are weak, and how you should make your title the fifth line from the bottom, that's Elinor, and how you should cut your first and last stanzas, that's Carole. And it's just so helpful. I value having that deadline of 2 poems every 2 weeks. It's how I get through any poetry writing, is with the deadline. And I can't send out a poem to be published if I haven't had the Lady Mechanics look under the hood and tinker a little bit and pronounce that it runs good. So I'm deeply grateful. I'm going to read the sort of cover or title poem of Rise Wildly. It takes into account some New York Times angle. I read a headline, I could never find it again, but I'm sure it existed, in the Times that said trains running after storms. And I thought, what if all the trains started chasing all the storms? And I kind of went crazy with that. So here's trains running after storms. I had to commit flight. I had seen too many birds escaping, flying off to the sides, as if I were evil. In the east, the rumbling called to me, kept ahead of me, vanished. I rose and laughed. Be confident, the other trains told me. Rise wildly. I saw a star that appeared for only a second, then another star, then another. Short, fast stars, all far more complex than we had imagined. The sky, the flat land, the fields. There is more so of everything, like daybreak in a house you knew first at night. In one car, everyone had the same name, all the Yolanda Schmidts on the planet at once. I saw meteors all day behind the sunlight. Yolanda, age 9, wanted to know what never mind really means. The fields near Spokane looked like lily pads, green circles of irrigation systems. The last train followed the last engine, like the flung back droop of Columbine spurs, triumphant. We were magnificent. We're in the castle of the angels, the 5-year-old Yolanda hollered. You know the look of the small plane flying beneath the big plane, that sliding lack of control. Perhaps this is a forever night stand, the 37-year-old Yolanda thought, pondering what had happened very early this morning. Have you ever seen a bee land on a bud and both fall fast to the ground? When we land, there's a tunnel in the moon. And this one is a funny one that the lady mechanics have helped me with. It's based on my son, who's 16 at the moment. And he told me the epigraph to this poem, which, the first lines of this poem. So it's called Of Pains, Stings, and Teenage Boys. Did you know, my son asked me, that getting kicked in the nuts is 200 times more painful than childbirth and 10 times more painful than breaking 24 bones at once? Really, I said. Yes, he said. And there's a pain measure called a DOL, D-O-L, and getting kicked in the nuts measures 57, but giving birth is only 23. I cry BS. This is from the one who phones me from his room at 7 in the morning to report he has overslept and who complains the house is too messy to invite his friends over when more than a quarter of the mess is his, who says I won't eat that to his dinner, all on the same day, 12 dolls right there. I would like to know who announced that a kick to the balls is more painful than passing a human through a small, nerve-rich pelvis. How hard is the kick? What kind of shoes? How big is the baby? Who has had both experiences so they could compare them? I know ankle sprains, broken foot, divorce, childbirth, death of a father. I know the Northern Irish have a word, irach, for pains thought to be caused by the east wind in winter. But a scale, a measure of the angle of elevation of elbow behind his back before he says uncle? Turns out the internet was way off on the nut kicks. Dolls only go up to 10.5, beyond which added pain doesn't even register. And why didn't they leave it at 10 flat to stay elegant? They were busy putting hot light bulbs on the backs of the hands of laboring women back in the 40s. Each had volunteered to withstand any reasonable discomfort if it would help ease the suffering of future patients. Again, BS, I cry. Researchers asked the women how much pain they were in every 5 seconds during every contraction. I do not know a woman who could answer that question on a scale of 1 to 10.5, the 0.5 particularly vexing, more than once in an entire labor, not even the Virgin Mary herself. Son, let me introduce you to Dr. Justin Schmidt, who ranked the stings of 185 species of bees, ants, and wasps according to painfulness. Like a wine connoisseur, he described a scale of 1, a tiny spark has singed a single hair on your arm, the sweat bee, to 4, you are chained in the flow of an active volcano, the warrior wasp. Many data points, one constant analgesia, or feeler of pain. He theorized that social bees needed toxins as well as stingers, or the bears would eat them by the hiveful. Their sting was an advertisement of damage, and toxicity evolved as its truth. He named his poodle Dolores for sorrow, pain, and melancholy. I remember my anesthesiologist when I had you. His name was Howard. I said, I bet there were a lot of baby boys running around Manhattan named Howard in his honor. He didn't really crack a smile, which pained me. It's always a bad idea to compare pain, buddy. Be glad your mother withstood the contractions, my boy. Be glad your father protected his groin on the soccer pitch. 10 million of us have chronic pain. May you fly free of it, high above the urban legends. Thank you. And now I have the honor of introducing Jessica de Koninck. Jessica is the author of the full-length collection Cutting Room and the chapbook Repairs. And her poems have been in the Writer's Almanac and Verse Daily. She generously told us about a contest for pandemic poems where if we won, we could get interviewed by Garrison Keillor on Zoom. And she and I both were able to be part of that, which was awesome. And she is the funnest person in the Lady Mechanics to crack up during a editing session. I really admire her work, and I know you will too. Jessica, take it away.
Thank you, Tina. Funnest person is not a way I think about myself. Marcia asked me to tell the story. I'm going to tell the abbreviated story of the name because it's interesting, but it's not that interesting. I was having repeated problems with my car. The battery kept draining. I kept bringing it into the dealer, and they were like giving me the mansplain thing and not fixing, and it kept happening. And finally, I took it in. And a young woman worked on the car, and I came to writing the next day and said, was the lady mechanic, and Tina said, that's what we should call ourselves because, you know, we get things done, we get things fixed. So that's kind of where the name, where the somewhat unusual name, yes, yay, Tina, somewhat unusual name comes from. I'm not going to read any pandemic poems today because I'm sick of everything about the pandemic, including I drove Theresa crazy. I said, I've got Zoom fatigue. It's like, I was so annoying. So I'm not going to read pandemic poems today. I do love our group. I mean, it really, and I learned so much reading other people, more than the feedback I get on my own poems, reading other people's poems, or as much as the feedback I get on my own, I shouldn't say more. I just love it. So I'm going to start with a couple of poems that are kind of holiday related, sort of, or holiday season related, sort of. Footprints of the Stars. Maria met Jesus wandering LA in 1932. The real deal, not some long-haired messianic wannabe. He told her he'd visited before. In 1849, he panned the Sacramento Valley, but did not stop to watch gold rise off the ocean the way it does in Malibu at sunset. California reminds him of home, warm and dry with decked out desperados, mining Hollywood Boulevard for cash or a needleful. One time he was born in East LA. Angelinos do not weather well away from warmth. Jesus knows the game of life in the wilderness, the solitude of freeways, how to avoid snow. Hit his face that blizzard winter stuck outside the Donner Pass. Now he waters arid lots. Poinsettias with nugget hearts bloom and bleed along the boulevard. Jesus watches smog rise like amnesia over the tar pits and cultivates fields studded like rhinestones among gold's rush and idols of the silver screen. Few notice his gardening, but in Southern California, it never snows at Christmas. One of the things I do like about Zoom is there are, speaking of California, my brother-in-law is on from California. My other brother-in-law is on from Montreal. I have 2 college friends on, both are in Massachusetts, and a grade school friend who's here from Queens. So I'm just like, I can't believe I'm not crying. Jerusalem. Not the vestiges of wall pressed with paper prayers, not the temple, the dome, the rock, not the line for women, the line for men, not headscarves, not orange groves, not the Arab quarter, the Jewish quarter, the 12 stations of the cross, not the cross, nor wood, nor nails, not the monastery in the valley across from the Knesset, not Yad Vashem, nor the 6 million, not Ishmael, not Isaac, not olive trees, not land, but a quiet booth at a diner in Maplewood, New Jersey, a bowl of soup, a buttered roll, a cup of tea. And I'm gonna read just 2 more poems. Everybody's like probably needs to get up and stretch, but too bad. I'm gonna read, I've been finding myself, I think since I became a grandparent, I find myself writing a lot about my grandparents. So, first one, well, you'll see. This is called Wonder, and it has an epigraph. Then no one knew that the waters were abated from off the earth, Genesis 8:11, wonder. That woman is feeding the pigeons again at the edge of the lake, ignoring the notices, do not feed birds, as if the signs were not directed at her, as if the pigeons notice her and not the bread she tosses, tiny velociraptors begging for seeds and crusts. I wanted to feed the pigeons in Battery Park years before the Twin Towers went up, before they came down. Cyrilla, do not chase the birds, Grandpa admonished, but I wanted to catch those pigeons. Dirty birds, histoplasmosis, candidiasis, cryptococcosis. Daily she sits on the bench with a bag full of day-old bread, tearing stale pieces apart and tossing them down. No one stops her. When we pretend they are beautiful, we call them doves. And I'm going to end with this one. And I'm so grateful to Theresa for for doing this for us today. It's really brightened up the month. This is called Crazy Eights. It also has an epigraph from Genesis. And he ceased on the seventh day from all the work that he had done, Genesis 2:2, Crazy Eights. And on the eighth day, no talk about the eighth day. God finished in seven, threw down the cards, and left in the way that God exits the story, only to enter again, wreak some havoc, and flee. By the time we reach chapter 8, God's cleaning up after the big flood and about to start over. In another version, electrons come into being 8 seconds after the Big Bang. For millennia, the universe remains too hot for light to shine. Separating light from darkness is a parlor trick of the big magician. Radio telescopes go back, and then at the instant of creation, nothing. Before the big whatever, Before the big whatever, time did not exist, place did not exist. The rubber band of curved space and multiple dimensions snaps when I try to stretch it to fit around my head. God took a day off. Things got complicated. God sent lice, locusts, frogs, leveled the cities of the plain. Light takes so long to travel, people who live at the other end of the Milky Way can only see our past. Ask the magic 8-ball. Will the universe stop expanding? Will the sun explode? If I could shuffle time, I'd fold my cards, spend an afternoon with grandma, take a nap on her soft mattress. Once upon a time, it was the safest place in all the universe. Thank you very much. I'm assuming, I can't even see because I've got the stuff up on my screen, but thank you all. And now, I would like to introduce our host for this afternoon. It is my pleasure, and also our final reader for this afternoon, Theresa Burns, who is also the curator of the Watershed Literary Events Poetry Series, sponsored by the South Orange Department of Cultural Affairs. I know enough that I have to thank them. That's important. And it was really her idea to do this afternoon, and I'm particularly grateful. Theresa's poems are always sharp and elegant. She revels in bird songs and gardens. She writes with an ear finely tuned to the musicality of language. Here's her book, see Marcia, you're not the only one with show and tell, To Train Town. At workshops, she's always careful to note when something needs an extra beat or could easily lose one. I thank her again for her lovely invitation to read this afternoon. Please welcome Theresa Burns.
Hi, everybody. Let's see. I'm gonna put myself on speaker. How is my volume here? Now I'm paranoid about being muted. Yeah, good, okay. Thank you so much. I just loved hearing the rest of the lady mechanics read their work there. It just reminds me of how lucky I am to be part of this group, and really proud to be among them. And also really grateful that so many people came that were having trouble. Even now, people coming into the session, trying to manage the waiting room. But thank you again for coming. I'm going to read 4 medium-ish poems this afternoon. This first one, it's not a pandemic poem. It's not a poem that I wrote very recently, but it kind of could be one. So I'm going to read The Language of Empty Storefronts. Did you know me when I brimmed silver and turquoise, fine cotton and incense, The owner spoke Punjabi or hippie, burnished my tin ceiling to a warmth unseen on these avenues. Not long after, I held a dozen tables where whole families knelt to eat from little pools of goman and berbere, scooped up with warm injera once the Coptic prayer of thanks was said. Then the sneaker shed. My fresh white walls lined with Air Max and Chuck Taylors. The pride I felt when thrice showered teenage boys lingered there. By then, they'd covered my tin with immaculate foam, a meter lower. Don't believe the drab brown dress of paper and packaging tape they've draped me in. Don't listen to the absence of clinking glasses. I am still the language a violin speaks when taken down from the wall of a music store. The scent of sandalwood, notes of cardamom as someone singing locks up for the night. Thank you. This is a really new poem that the Lady Mechanics have been helping me with. It started out in couplets, then I tried to make it a sonnet. I have not succeeded yet in making it a sonnet. It's actually got 16 lines, but it's very new. The title refers to a piece of choral music. My daughter was in the high school and chorus and is now in the college chorus at Amherst College. It's called Love of Fire, and that was composed by John Conahan, who lives in Summit, New Jersey. He lives 15 minutes from me. Love of Fire. I miss hearing my daughter sing at concerts, inside cold churches, or in the old videos I play sometimes when she was still in high school. A long burgundy dress, the shoulders a little tight. None of the usual self-consciousness as her mouth forms a perfect O, takes in the visible breath. That's how bad the missing can get. So bad, I swear I hear her single thread within the skein of voices. Know it as the rain that runs into me. After the Javanese folk dance and to Kelley's Earth Song, which makes me wonder if they are bound to this world, they sing the one that begins a low rumbling in the core, builds like a storm-lashed river, and burns like the last star in a too small sky. This poem actually was written during quarantine, but I think that's one of the challenges as we all kind of go through our work that we wrote. I mean, we're still in quarantine, right? I mean, it's been a while. It's been 9 or 10 months. So probably a lot got written then. I guess the trick is to see if the poem, sort of lives beyond the pandemic a bit. So because the last one was about my daughter, this concerns my son, and it's called Sweet Pea. Why it died is a mystery. Was it heat stroke or neglect? Vines that looked robust days ago appear to have thrown themselves over the wooden trellis and expired. Produced exactly 10 fruit during its 8 weeks of life. These were picked immediately after discovery of the body and collected in a bowl by its owner or cultivator or murderer. All of these were me. The bowl was the prettiest one the owner owned, purchased during the tribal fad in home decor. It featured Native American symbols in red and blue, stamped on creamy white ceramic. This seemed appropriate for when she planted vegetables in her garden. The owner convinced herself she could live off the land if food became unavailable. She had planned to share the crisp pods with her family, but soon found she could not stop herself. They were the most delicious things she had ever tasted. In this way, she learned the sweetness of grief, how it seeds a craving. Her son, who was about to leave home, had helped her plant sweet pea back in April, along with lettuce and kale, none of which he would eat. The thought of his departure made the last piece difficult to swallow, no matter how long she chewed. I swear I'm gonna have nightmares about Lynn trying to enter the session, Lynn being in the waiting room and not being able to scream, you know? Anyway, I have one last poem, but before I read that, I just wanted to say one more thank you for this amazing turnout. I'm really so grateful. Grateful again to all the people in South Orange who made this possible. Grateful to, especially to the Lady Mechanics, who've helped me with all these poems that I'm reading. So yeah, long live the Lady Mechanics. This is called Last Request. When I'm dying and they come for the last request, I may pass on a sumptuous meal, ask instead to ride the bus down Fifth Avenue on a day like this one. June sky, a Looney Tunes blue, the skins of sycamores peeling to fresh. I'll start in the 90s, where if I squint, I can be in the 16th arrondissement. So many mansard roofs sluiced with pigeon droppings. X-rays in trim Chanel suits headed out for tea. Let me ogle the Guggenheim again. Imagine the planets in clay paintings, tracing ellipses on the hive walls. In the row ahead, a black pirate-headed woman, spitting image of Marianne Moore, a good witch to have toward the end. Let our driver worry about 4 o'clock traffic and the wait as we kneel for the wheelchaired passenger to embark. Me, I'm in no hurry. Make as many stops as you like. Look, I love these big, dirty windows, the perfect height of my perch. Look, Marianne, no hands. Only the one writing down on an envelope. Be an eye at the end, not a brain or a heart, just a muscle that records what it's seeing. Ginkgo, street lamp, line. Thank you so much. Gonna try once more to let Lynn in. That concludes the feature portion of our reading. So just one last hand for all the Lady Mechanics of Verona. Yes, and I do see that 4 people have asked to read a poem. So let me, and correct me, Anne, correct me if I don't get the order right. I'm going all the way to the top of the chat. Okay, and we're gonna start with Susanna. Susanna Rich, I think? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
Susanna.
Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful reading. There's nothing more powerful than women, empowering women. We've had more than one pandemic concurrent in our lives. This one blends the two. The epigraph is from US election 2020. What happens if Trump won't leave the White House in January? And the poem is called The White House Needs a Root Canal. While the assistant slaps hooks and gauze and hose attachments into my dentist's hands, the television suspended in the corner drones Fox reports on recounts, crashing planes, hurricane warnings, and the White House wall blocking the sandstone colonnades and tall windows and doors painted white. And oh, dentist, this swelling, infected pustule, this inflamed abscess throbbing in my mouth, threatening brain disease, the heat I cannot bear without yowling pain, the crown compromised by decay. Dentist and assistant, helicopter above me with riot masks and weapons, anesthesia, multiple shots, bitter squirts, the drilling, the whine, the buzz, the sirens jackhammering in my head, the barbed brooches shoved into my roots to skewer and remount the rot, the pulp, the nerve. 8 COVID months, I told myself the pain was merely sinus pressure, grinding my teeth, referred pain, in denial, like the president, about the pandemic and the election. They've dammed up my mouth with surgical cofferdam rubber, a bite block wedged between my teeth to pry open my jaws for 2 hours. My mouth jammed up with their fingers and thumbs, so I can't talk, can't say, stop, go, away, now. Suction, suction, the dentist commands. Flush, blow. Still, the drool leaks out of the corner of my mouth, down my neck, choking me, the way the president is choking our smooth transition to health. All this to conserve my tooth, upper right, save my face from caving in, cheeks hollowing. Oh, pearly white house, I get it. We'll leave the roots where a new crown will preside. We'll realign your bite, break the fevers, unsmog the skies. Rinse now. And spit.
I'm not sure I've ever heard of the end of a poem, a dental poem. Thank you, Susanna. Let me see, the next person that I have is Emily. Emily, right? Emily Zacharias. Okay, go ahead, Emily.
Hi, Theresa. Thanks.
Yeah.
It was great being with all of you and hearing all the wonderful work. Thank you. This is a short poem. Ocean, desert, grass. We were pretending. We are actors and we fell into our natural mockery of human longing and sweet misery. We held our eyes as though for the last time before a trip that would end in tormented death. Our arms reached desperately but gracefully for the sensual goodbye of fingertips touching over oceans, over deserts, over meadows of grass for the longingly last time. We held this ruse to have our fun and also to hide our hearts, to fill these vessels with borrowed sentiment that in this public place would not be mistaken for the deep and bottomless anchor of our love.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. Now, the next one I have is Sue Austin. Is that what you have, Ann? Okay. Sue Austin, please join us and read your work. I've known Sue since high school.
Yes.
I'm so glad you came and you'll read with us. Thanks.
This has been really nice. Thank you. It's a lovely afternoon. I'm reading a poem my father wrote. He passed away this past July. He wrote this poem when he me and my mom were married for 62 years. It was an anniversary poem, and I just love this poem. So here goes. It was a bright Sunday after Mass. We arrived at home, at the home of Uncle Joe's newest lass. My mother and I took the road from Queens to Brooklyn. The lass had a daughter with big brown eyes that could cook 'em. The conversation was easy, but those eyes made me glow. The truth was those big brown eyes grabbed my heart and would not let go. The fact that I was 18 and she only 14 did not enter my mind. I was hooked and I knew it, and it was just a matter of time. My friends accepted her since she was friendly and very cute. I took her to my track meets, and it was acknowledged that I found a beaut. In spite of the fact that I was teased for rocking the cradle, it did not take long before all my family and friends saw that this was going to be stable. 4 years later, I graduated from college and she from high school. So many young girls at that time said goodbye to love, goodbye to loved ones, and joined the waiting pool. It was then that I joined the Marines, aiming towards the war in Korea. All I could say as I climbed aboard the train was, "I'll see you." I did my time in Quantico, Virginia for officers training class. The sergeant beat us up since in 90 days I knew they would be outranked by our brass. Soon after more training in the cold mountains of California, we knew where we stood. As they loaded us on the boat, we felt our destiny was not good. The boat was heading towards the war zone of Korea. It was also at that time that I remembered my promise to my big brown eyes. "I'll see you." As we traveled over the sea, the Koreans heard I was coming and quickly signed a peace treaty. After 2 years of serving my time, I returned looking for my sweetie. By the way, that girl with the big brown eyes was first introduced to me as Ginger, but then it became Ginny, then Ginge, then Gin, and sometimes Hey You, but you say Virginia. Soon we married, and very soon had 5 healthy little ones, and soon added a dog, a cat, a rabbit, a rodent, and finally a snake. Doesn't a life like mine take the cake? Was my life with the big brown eyes a trip by lost doves? Or could it be a story of a boy and a girl who found a lasting love? The answer must be that after 62 years since they met under a Sunday sun, history has given us the obvious answer. It has worked since day one.
Okay, thanks so much, Sue. All right, the next name I have is Andrea. Is that right?
Yes, let me start my video. Hello everybody. My name is Andrea Paulina. I was a journalist for a really long time, and I've only dabbled in poetry, but I'd like to learn more. I didn't even know there was a poetry group in Verona, so that hopefully I can get some guidance from them. I also live here in Verona. So my poem is called The Time Before. When I was little, just 4 or 5, I used to think about the time before my birth. I thought about when I was just a tiny, bright speck within the blackness of nothingness. Time did not exist there, nor thought, nor life, or death, and I was all alone, just a tiny speck. Yet nothingness was everything. I wanted nothing more. Daydreams often took me to that place with no sun or sky or ice cream or grass. Yet how sad to think that after this, we may end up again back there. That would be a shame, I think. Nothingness was perfect then, but it isn't anymore. Thank you. I don't think we can hear you, Theresa.
You're mute, Theresa.
Thank you. I think we had one more poet who wanted to read, Mary Lisa. Mary Lisa, I think that's our last one.
Hi.
Lisa, go ahead.
I was totally not prepared for this, so don't mind my appearance. I just wanted to say that this poem was published in September's Rattle. So I'm really proud of that. I know, right? I was really proud of that. It's called Excuse Me. I haven't read it out loud many times, so excuse me. Again today, the chef says to the new busboy, load this up. The dishwasher door hangs open. The chef says, not by hand, this is faster. But the busboy looks lost, just stands. I tell the cook, he doesn't understand, just as the boss walks in, demands, go, get the pan from the dining room, shoves him toward it. But the young boy can't grasp the command without Romero, who works the kitchen, translating lunch slips into sandwiches and English into Spanish for his friend, whom all the workers call the Mexican. When his wife calls, they hand him the phone from a distance. Then they wash the phone after him. Head down, he looks at no one. Go tell the Mexican we need more silverware. Go, tell the Mexican change the trash. Finally, when every worker gathers all at one time in the kitchen, I ask the busboy's friend, Romero, what is his name? I say it out loud. We write it out on a paper placemat, Isidro, and hang it on the wall. Now everyone knows. They say, Isidro, take out the trash. Isidro, we need you to sweep. And Isidro looks up, speaks his first English phrase as he passes by, smiles, whispers, excuse me, excuse me. Thank you. Thanks for this chance. Am I muted still? Can I just say one more thing? I just wanted to say that I agree that a lot of us writers getting together, even if it's just a group of 6 of us, if you think about it, you're examining like 6 other people's work and you're having 6 other people reply on that work. That's like 36 workshops in one. It's amazing. And you get so much from reading the other people's work. I just wanted to agree with that and congratulate you guys. I didn't even know you existed and this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So glad you read, Mary Lisa.
Thank
So that's it, everyone. Thanks again for coming. Anne and I are working on next year's schedule for Watershed. We hope to have some idea of that in the next few weeks, and we'll send that out to the masses. But once again, really appreciate your taking this time to be with us. And thank you.
Thank you, Theresa. You're welcome.
Thank you, Theresa. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
What an honor.
Far and wide.
Thank you, Theresa.
Terrific.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
So proud of
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all for coming. Great program. Thank you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Hi, Susanna. Everybody. One by one, they're going.
Ooh, we're shrinking down. 27. It's like watching a balloon deflate.
Yes.
Yeah.
The faces get bigger and bigger and bigger.
No.
Is Mary Lisa still there?
I am.
Oh my gosh, Rattle. Oh my gosh.
I'm a diehard.
Yes. That is one of my favorite journals.
Yep. Yes, I've been rejected by them.
Oh.
We've all been rejected by them.
No, we haven't. It took me a few times, believe me.
Yep.
Good for you. I'll persist.
Oh, yes, do that. Do that.
Yep.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
I feel like I
Bye.
should stay and shut the door, but
You should what, Theresa?
I feel like I should stay and close the door behind us or something, or lock up or something.
Yeah, right. Lock up. Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for reading, Susanna.
Eleanor, it's June. Thank you.
Oh, June, I'm so happy you were there. I saw your name. Oh, thank you for coming. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon, June. Bye.
Thank you again, Theresa.
Oh, thanks, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
You're terrific.
Bye.
You're all
Bye.
great.
Bye.
Teresa.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I should have said something about the skate house that's behind Greg. Or I probably would have said it when I was muted anyway. Wait, people are entering the Oh, I can't believe this. Lynn is still in the waiting room. I feel just...
Tell us about the skate house.
Oh gosh, well, if you see, Greg, if you say something, your box will light up there.
We want me to say something?
Yeah, there you go. So now if
Well, I should stand aside from the skate house, which
Susanna, if you
weather,
go on speaker view, you'll get a better view of it. But the skate house is this charming little brick structure that's around the South Orange Duck Pond. It's, I think it's called the skate house because eons ago, like at the turn of the century or something, when it was still cold enough that you could skate on the pond. Nobody does it anymore really. But I think that was the place where you would kind of put your skates on and, warm up before and after, and maybe drink hot chocolate or something. But then it fell into disrepair, and about, I don't know, like 2 years ago, they actually fixed it up. And they a couple of years ago, we entered and they were holding an art exhibit in there. And we were just so charmed by this beautiful refurbished little brick house. And my husband and I looked at each other and we said, we've got to have some poetry readings here. It's like the perfect place. But
I just want to interject that we do look at one another frequently. This wasn't like the first time in a long time.
It's the only time we ever look at one another. Hi, Kathy King. How are you doing? I see you there. I mean, I don't see you as a person, but I see your rectangle there. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Hi, Elinor. You read so well today.
Oh, how lucky are we? Oh my God, it was beautiful.
I know.
Really beautiful. Thank you for everything.
Oh.
Anna Marie, a happy housewarming.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm always the last to leave the party.
All right. I guess I'll sign off. I'll end the party.
Thank you so much. This was really, really very nourishing.
Great. Thanks for coming, Susanna. We'll look forward to hearing you read soon too.
Thank you.
All righty.
Bye-bye.